Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia. I'm your host, Jacob Rush. I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Black, and we are back, and we are playing with Power. Ryan, it's another week, 3 weeks in a row, and boy, oh boy, I mean, have we talked about technical issues, and that's week 3, and we had another amount of technical issues. It just happens, guys, but Ryan and I are still pushing through, and we are able to get this new episode out to you. 3 weeks in a row, we are happy to keep the streak going, and we hope that everybody who's been listening to the show has enjoyed it being back. And please spread the word that we're back and share with your friends. We would love to share nostalgia with many more people as well. So, Ryan, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm great, man. I am so ready to get into this episode. I have a lot more to say about my Radical Rex scene than I do probably the main topic. That's just comparatively, because I've got a lot going on that's exciting and cool and everything. So, but yeah, I'm really excited to be here with you today. I know your family's been kind of battling some sickness and stuff, so I'm glad you're feeling up to doing this podcast today, and we're able to keep things going. I'm excited for the future of the podcast. We're actually going to be working on a work day together and, getting everything organized, episodes, try to get those old episodes that are kind of lost to time reinstated. We have some things from episode 1 through episode 17 or something like that. We have some episodes that are they got stuck on a RSS feed that got yanked from us back in the past. So just right. Overall, it's kind of like, hey guys, here's what's going on with the podcast. Not necessarily what Radical Rexing about, but how you doing, man?
Well, like you mentioned sickness. I went home from I went home from work sick yesterday. After about towards the middle to end of my first block of the day, I just had food and it did not sit well with me, and thought I was going to throw up. Thankfully, I never did, but I've been pretty weak. I have not had much energy, very tired, a lot of headaches. Still am tired. Didn't sleep the best last night, but I would say I'm more like 80% as opposed to yesterday. I'd say I was like maybe 20, 25%. And then my daughters came home and they got sick as well. So whatever has been going on, everyone's kind of got the same thing. But Lindsay, she has some issues with sickness and puking, and she's got a anxiety phobia towards that. So when that stuff happens, usually I take care of it. It's just been very difficult because I'm sick as well while I'm handling it. So thankfully, knock on wood, my son has not been sick, and I'm hoping he stays that way. But my wife I had her go to her parents' house last night because I just knew it would be a ton for her. And so she's anxious about it still. And she's pregnant and doesn't want to get sick herself. So, and I understand. So, but besides that, I mean, I've been fine. I've been good. Really, what would I guess maybe things I've been enjoying lately? I enjoyed the season finale for the Loki season 2.
Jealous. I need to see it.
Yeah, I really liked Loki. I thought it was great. I thought it's the best thing they put out since the first one. And I mean, it might be honestly the best Marvel product we've had, in my personal opinion, since I don't know, Endgame.
Yes.
And it's different. If you are somebody who likes just all the action, which I have friends who they show up there for the action. I would not say it's going to rank high in your list because it's a lot more story plot driven, deep. It really is much about connecting. I feel like connecting everything that's been happening since after Endgame. And, a lot of people have had issues with Marvel. Like, where are they going? This doesn't make sense. Some stuff lands. A lot of stuff has not stuck the landing. I really feel like this is probably one of the best things they've done. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was fantastic. So I don't want to make it sound like there hasn't been anything good. I loved that movie, but this has been really, really good. Really loved it. I have not seen the Marvels. I hear lots of bad things from.
I hear lots of good things. Okay.
every source that I follow, I mean, legitimate sites, every reviewer, usually the biggest fanboyist, and a lot of them they all say the same thing. Villain is forgettable. Kamala Khan's the best part, her and her family, and they bring a lot to the table. And then
God, I'm gonna love it.
the rest of it is pretty much meh and not very good, and it's ranked down on the lower end of their favorites, and as in movie wise.
Yeah,
But they say everyone always has also said that the post credit scenes are absolute must see, and they're probably like the biggest bombshell after credit scenes that have ever happened. So
it's
that is,
probably, if I'm imagining, I think if I remember right, Miss Marvel was at one point in one of the comics was I want to say a mutant. So it would
she's
make
never been
sense.
she's never been a mutant. Not to
Oh, she
cut
was
you
never
off.
a mutant. I thought she was at one point.
They originally wanted to do that, but she's an inhuman, and in the
Okay.
show Miss Marvel, spoilers if you haven't seen it, they lead to the fact that she has an X mutation, and they're trying to turn her into a mutant.
Okay.
They're changing her origin story to being a mutant now, which was different than what the original comics were, because she was like associated with like the Inhumans or whatnot. But
Interesting.
so yeah, I've got a hunch that it has something to do with X-Men and mutants. So I'm excited for that because everyone was like, that's my favorite part of Marvel is the X-Men and Wolverine especially. So
Okay. For some reason,
that
I thought that she was already a mutant and one, like, I guess, multiverse. But that's cool. Really cool.
yeah, it is really cool. So I mean, I don't know when I'll see the movie. It's hard for me to want to go out and shell over my money to go see something I feel like is being ranked so low and bad reviews. At the same time, I don't like to wait. I like to be a part of the conversation when it's
Mhm.
happening, and I don't like to wait for it to come out on Disney Plus in January or something like that, and then I finally get to see it. Like, nah, I kind of want to, especially with that post credit scenes. I like to be a part of the speculation about
Mhm.
what's
Mhm.
next, and if you don't see it, you kind of have to avoid it. So I may
No,
figure out how to get out there and see it soon, but
there's definitely a parallel there to video games in that, like I will go out and get the latest WarioWare game, but people aren't going to say that's like the greatest game and like groundbreaking and like,
right.
like it's not going to have the action that you want and I like, or like a story that you want. But it's something that's like a comfort food. So if you like the family friendly, the fun, like the character building, the story and things like that, like it's probably going to be great. Like, you heard bad things about Love and Thunder and you heard
Yeah.
bad things about, past like Ant-Man, Quantumanium. There's always this negative stuff coming out about these latest releases and stuff. I've not personally seen them, but like I've found like anybody who doesn't like certain things, like certain episodes, like they say it did awful, I watch them and I really, really enjoy them. So I don't know what that is. I feel like there's some loud negativity on those things, but I wouldn't let that limit your chance at enjoying those things if it's something that sounds like it interests you. Just the same thing as video games. Like an indie game sounds fun and everyone else says it's terrible. Like, give some thought, make an educated choice. But if you really want to play that game, like play it. And you might be surprised that that's enough to carry you through all the bad stuff because you really enjoyed the gameplay or some other things about it and experiences that meet you at a certain point in your life. You never know what the experience is going to be, so don't be afraid to try something just because critics are like, it's awful." You know.
No, yeah, and I mean, I'm not. I'll be one of the last people to listen to the critics,
Yeah.
movie critics. I don't account their opinion worth anything, to be honest.
Mhm.
But I definitely people who cover it and who are like nerds like us. I mean, a lot of times I've had an issue where like I feel like there are like fanboyish things even people listen to, and it's like where like Marvel could do no wrong, and everything they put out is just gold, and like I can be a bit more I guess I don't know, hesitant to listen to
Mhm.
people like that,
Mhm.
and their bias. But even the ones that I would say have been biased lately are admitting that this stuff is not that great. But I definitely know what you're saying. I understand. And to be honest, I kind of get. It's when I even something that's like a Nintendo Direct, I'll get really annoyed. I don't want to know. Um, like I had a friend. text me before I even saw it. He had forgotten I hadn't watched it yet because I usually don't get to them until like the evenings of the day they drop.
Hmm.
And he's like, "Oh well, it was pretty mediocre. You won't be too excited." And it made me so mad
It
because
was
I'm like,
Kyle, right?
no, it wasn't
Oh,
Kyle.
okay. Does that all the
It,
time
he
for
does
me.
do does he? It's I got annoyed and because like even if it sucks, like I
You
want to
want to
be the
have your
one.
own feelings without any kind of anything influencing that.
Yeah, I
You
want to
want
come
to
to the
feel it organically.
conclusion. Yeah, if it sucks, then okay, I'll come to that conclusion on my own. If it's but if like maybe and when I after I watched it, honestly, it wasn't as bad as what I was thinking going into it from what I
Hmm.
had heard. You know that comment and opinion made me think like, okay, there's really not going to be anything good. It totally just deflates the hype, the excitement, you know, and like I think part of the about like Nintendo Directs, the excitement about that is the unknown.
Yeah.
It's the what if expectation. Like, man, maybe we do get a Donkey Kong Country
Hmm.
or a Diddy Kong Racing 2, or maybe Banjo Tooie comes to the Switch Online or Diddy Kong Racing. You know, I don't know, but like that mystery is what fuels me. I don't want
Yeah.
anyone to spoil that for me. Could
I
be
mean,
even if it is, even if it had everything I loved, I don't want people to tell me because like I want to experience that myself.
yeah,
And that
I
goes with
get that.
music and movies too.
I mean, look at the opposite side of things. Like someone says, "Oh, you're really gonna love this," and then you watch it and you're just like, "Oh, I was really hyped and like really excited because people say I'm actually gonna love this," and I watched. And I'm like, that was kind of disappointing. Like, I don't know. I do that all the
Yes.
time for you. I'm like, "Oh, Jacob's gonna love this," and then you see it like, okay, no.
No, yeah, you're right. It does work both ways. Absolutely does.
It
People,
influences how you think and how you go about something, and it's great to go in with a pure mind and just be like, I'm just going to watch this, and you're living in a vacuum, and you just find out what you truly enjoy without anyone else influencing. Like that was me as a kid, like when without social media, like I go and watch some movie and I absolutely loved it, like The Dark Crystal or Little Nemo, and no one ever heard of those things or even had
yeah,
any opinion, but like I absolutely
right.
loved them, and I'm like, hey, these things I really enjoy. They're a big part of my nostalgia, and nothing really tainted that, and I did take some chances where people said things were horrible games, and I enjoyed what I got out of them because I knew there's things that I liked about them, even if they knew I recognized they were terrible games too. So like I do value friends' opinions, and I don't think we should solicit those opinions exclusively without them having to say something. Like I don't want to shut my friends up, but also like just be
Hmm.
mindful. Like when you say something's terrible or trash, like it also comes to your reputation too. If you're constantly saying things are trash or the greatest of all time, then it
That's one way to
doesn't
know.
give you so much of a credibility, I guess, unless if people don't understand that's just what you do is you over embellish things, what you say. But, it takes away some of your credibility when you do that sort of thing.
I agree. I do. I totally agree. And like we said, to each their own. Like I thought the ending of Loki 2 was honestly one of the best. And then I have a friend who I was texting about, and he thought it was very disappointing. He was
Mm-hmm.
completely let down, you know, and um, yeah, just because somebody's somebody's trash can be your treasure. So no
And
matter,
that's the mystery there too. Like someone said I was really going to love Super Mario Galaxy. Or not Galaxy, Super Mario Odyssey, and I played it and I didn't enjoy it. And I was at a bad time in my life to try to force myself to play it, but that was like that kind of influenced kind of me not liking the game. Now I tease about hating the game now, but like I went back and played it and I enjoyed what I did that time. So like I don't truly hate it, even though I tease about it. I take every chance I can. But
sure. I mean, I don't hate that game at all. I mean, we've had go back and listen to them. We talked about that game in real time many times, but when I look back on it, what I would definitely do from Mario is I would reduce. I don't like what I'm finding about myself, and this has happened as games have gotten bigger for Nintendo. I don't like video games where I have 1,000 things to collect. Because it's really bad for me. Because like I like to be a completionist. Like when it's Donkey Kong, whatever, I'll try to get every Kong and every little puzzle piece you can get. I
yeah,
typically will repeat levels over and over again
yeah.
until I have it all, and then I like to move on.
Mhm.
And when I get a game like Mario Odyssey, the moon pieces, I just feel like there was way too many, and there was way a lot of I want them to have some meaning. I want
There's a
quality
lot of
over
inflation.
quantity. Yeah,
Korok
absolutely.
seeds, like, do you need to collect all the Korok seeds? Like,
Yes.
it's there for the people who want to do completionist stuff, and those who used to do completionist stuff back in the day
Which I
didn't have as
did.
much to do. Like, people complained so much about fetch quests and collectibles and rare games, and those who wanted to 100% them went the extra mile, like Donkey Kong 64, to get
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And they may not want to do it again, but so there is that padding has always existed, but now it's like, is it worth going for all those things? Does it? And are they going to lock certain story beads behind that collection?
Right.
Secret levels you can only get to if you have everything but that one thing, and because things are getting more grandiose and longer, like, do you have the time to do that anymore to complete a game? And wearing the badge of honor that you 100% at a game is kind of becoming less, I guess, important.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with like achievements and platinum in games. Um, if it's just a bunch of busy work and there's no real meaning behind it, what's the point? And Nintendo has
Yes.
introduced that without doing achievements by adding these completionist things that you can do, collect all 900 Korok seeds and what have you. Like, those things are things that Nintendo has dipped into without doing achievements, and they're trying to do it their own way, and that's not something that we value, but other people might value that. It would be one thing if like every Korok you talk to had something different to say and like expanded the world just a little bit more. But they just say, "You found me, cool," and you
Yeah.
solved a little puzzle. Like, okay, busy work.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't like the busy work. I love collectathons. I do. Like Banjo-Kazooie is my favorite game. I loved ukulele.
Mhm.
It just needs to be well thought out. And I don't
Yeah,
think you need to have, like you said, an inflation of things to collect. I'm definitely down for collecting more than 10 stars or 10 jiggy pieces in a level and 100 music
yeah,
notes.
and I'm 100% down. Like, with not hitting a boss 3 times to defeat them. Like, give us some more
Yes.
complexity to the boss fights and stuff. Like, that
Yes.
stuff has become a long way as well.
It
It's
has. It has.
it's like there's different areas you can expand without adding padding to make it a different experience and a better experience.
Right. For sure. Well, dude, did you say what you've been radical rexing about?
I did not. I don't even remember saying what we're Radical Rexing about.
Well, it started off with Loki and then somehow it ended up
Yeah.
here.
Well, let's get
So,
into it. Let's get into what we are Radical Rexing about. Okay, so this episode might just turn into a Radical Rexing episode at this point, but so I'll kind of go over some of the stuff that I'm Radical Rexing about. Did you say everything you wanted about your Radical Rexing, or do you have some more things to add?
yeah, that was my whole segment there. Yeah. So it's your
Cool.
turn now.
Yeah. So I just got the Zelda and Ganondorf amiibo for Tears of the Kingdom. I wasn't originally going to get them, like right at launch. I was going to try to find them, and then GameStop had this deal, or if you like bought them online and picked them up in store, you got $5 off. And then I also had a $5 off for my membership, so I'm just like, that's $10 off for these amiibo. Like, I'm spending like $30 for two amiibo. Like, let's do it. And so I ended up getting those two amiibo. It's pretty cool. And I've got Pearl and Marina, and not Pearl and Marina. Wow. I've got Shiver, Fry, and Big Man amiibo coming up here soon. Those pre-orders are coming in. And then I'll eventually try to grab Sora when he goes on so I can get the full Smash Brothers collection. But I'm excited that my amiibo collection is staying up to date because Zelda and Ganondorf are, keeping my complete collection of Zelda going on with amiibo. So I'm glad that Nintendo's still doing amiibo. Definitely Radical Rexing about those. Even though they don't really function, now it's just a matter of the collection, and I love having them and looking at them, and just I love that part of the collecting. I also in the mail, I've been a little more active in the nostalgia chat, just sharing some things that I've gotten. A game that I loved on 360. It was only digital, just like Scott Pilgrim was only digital. Like, I never thought you'd get a physical version. This game I just got from the Behemoth. So it's Castle Crashers, but they have a physical version that came out on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
It was like you had to quickly pre-order it, and I finally got that, so I own it physically, and I dreamed of owning that physically. It's one of those games like I thought I'd never be able to do because I was really upset that they were just digital only things, and like that's why I like things like Limited Run do exist for those games that I really value and treasure. Like there's a short list now of games that I want to see come to the Switch, and like series I want to see come to the Switch and get physical on it, but that list is very, very small in comparison now, because of all the games that have come out in the past. So definitely Radical Rexing about the legacy that the Switch has, the library of games that it has. Um, I haven't been playing like games a whole lot because we've been basically the past few weeks doing medical appointments and prepping for this birthday party or not birthday party, this Halloween party that we had last night. And
Yeah.
let me tell you, it was epic. So Draco, despite all of the major medical issues that we've had and spinal surgeries and things like that, or spinal procedures, and doctor's appointments and stuff, he was able to pull off this amazing Splatoween themed party. I posted pictures in the Nintendo Nostalgia chat on Facebook, and but a lot of people were commenting on it, saying like they saw like the production quality, like it was something you go to a Nintendo event and see. And I agree, like the stuff that Draco put into that was just freaking amazing. And it took a lot of time. I'm running on very little sleep, and I'm very, very sore and everything. My back is killing me. But it was worth every bit. We only had basically 3 weeks to get everything together. We had been purchasing things for the party, but actually building the props and getting everything done, we did that in basically 4 days. And the food prep and stuff was done the day of. We ran a little bit past our deadline. It was supposed to start at 6, and we were able to finish things up by like 7:30 or 8 with all the cooking and stuff. But the decorations and everything were all in place, and it was really, really fun production to create. Like the Crab and Go station that you have in Splatoon 3 is built in our living or in our dining room right now.
Yeah.
And we had full playable table turf battle, like physical game that you can actually it has everything works the same. IRL, we're going to print more cards and iterate on that, but we'll be able to play that at home anytime. Play table turf, which is pretty cool to convert a digital card game into a physical world. But yeah, we might share some tips on how to build that and what to do once we've perfected it and refined all of it. But it's pretty cool. And just it was really fun building some of the props. So Draco ordered refillable water balloons. So they're like magnetically sealed, I guess silicone membrane balls. Basically, pumped them full of paint, like Splatoon colored paint. And we just threw them at like this big cardboard floor that we built out custom to our floor around our furniture. We took it out back and we just threw paint everywhere. Got a mess all over us. We got paint all over us and just had fun splatting it. And then we let it dry overnight and brought it inside and set it up as the floor prop for the party. And it was so much fun. And we have lockers that we painted and put stickers all over them, just like in Splatoon 3.
Right.
And we customized our own lockers with our favorite stickers. And it was just such a fun time to do and do that all together. But we created a really cool environment. And it's not about like, you can dress up in costume and be a part of the theme. But the big thing is living in those environments that we create and enjoying that with friends. And that's the biggest thing. Like we had, what was it? We had maybe 10 people confirmed coming to the party. And within the last 2 days before the party, basically everybody dropped out except for one person. And then our housemates and their significant others came to the party too. So it was cool to have those people. We had a low turnout. People got sick. Yesterday was a weird weather day, which caused allergy flare-ups and pain flare-ups for those medically frail people that we have. We had 7 people, I think, confirmed for coming from Draco's EDS support group. And all of them had various reasons they had to sick, whether it was deaths or sickness or high pain days or whatever. They had to drop out. Like they were definitely going to be coming. And then, we had such a low turnout. But at the end of the day, like we weren't disappointed by all the cancellations as much as we were so excited to be able to pull off such a cool environment and share that with the little people, the few people that could come. And the food that we made was amazing, like accurate to the games. Plus we also did a few other things. Like we made things from scratch basically. And they're all like allergen friendly and safe and things too. Like we found a way to kind of make mock shrimp because we all have shrimp allergies around here. And we found ways to work around those things and just make it a really fun party. And it wasn't anything that distracted from the theme. It all was in theme still. And I wish I could describe to every our listeners exactly how much detail and care and thought goes into everything that we do for these parties and how big of a production value it is. Like we'll spend tons of money, but that is Draco's major hobby.
Yeah.
Like he likes collecting like little line bags and things like that. But like the big thing is just doing these big parties twice a year and having friends over and enjoying them and just living in those environments days after, even after the party, like just being in a Splatoon world and be able to just sit down and play, you
Yeah.
know, the table turf battle or whatever. Or, in the past we had Monster High parties and Harry Potter parties and our next party for Draco's birthday is going to be all Tears of the Kingdom themed. So we're gonna have some Zelda stuff coming soon. I'm really excited to get on that. I'm even thinking about like what
Nice.
props we can build for that. It's gonna be really cool. Maybe try to come up with a mini tower,
Mm.
building something like that, and just I don't know how we would do. Probably would turn one of like our parlor into like the underground, and the depths, and try to do something with that, and figure out how we'll do the purple like gloom and everything, and it's gonna be really fun to figure all that out and do a Zelda theme with the food and what have you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a fun thing. Like as soon as we finish the party, we're already talking about the next party and what we're doing, what we're planning. And we set aside a budget for this because that is something that Draco absolutely needs, and I support that wholeheartedly.
Mm.
And I'll admit, I had a lot of trouble mentally leading up to the party, like ADHD and being able to focus on it. And I have like so many other big things going on in my life. Like I just, it was hard for me to focus on that and be serious about it and
Mm.
even give any kind of thought to it. So I had to sit back and really dig in the past few days. That's part of the reason why we were so far behind, not just Draco's medical stuff, but my mental health also. And I wish I could have been in a better place. And I did apologize for all that, because we could have been in a better place. We had to leave a lot of things on the cutting room floor, but we still had something amazing at the end. And that's all him. Like I
Yeah.
put in the time, but it was worth every bit of it.
I was looking, I mean, while you were talking, I was looking through all the photos and I mean, yeah, I mean, it looks awesome and great. Looks, I like the realness of it. It
Yeah.
doesn't look like it was just some like something you bought at a cheap party store. I mean, it
Yeah.
looks legit like a Splatoon world. Are those lockers real lockers?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We had a past housemate that brought them with them when they moved out of wherever they were from, and they've just been sitting in our garage. And the past two parties, we just brought it in the house. We painted it, brought it into the house, and did it for that theme.
Nice.
Then we painted over it and did the Splatoon theme this time with the stickers.
That's cool.
So
I
yeah,
like that. It looks great. It looks fun. And I know you guys really do love to have those Halloween parties, which is
yeah,
that's your thing. You love Halloween, and and it's awesome. I'm glad that you have something that you love to do so much,
yeah.
and
It
you're able
was
to
a
share that
blast.
with others. So that's cool.
Yeah, it was very fortuitous that we got more content. Like we got all the art books and stuff for Splatoon, like Splatoon 1, Splatoon 3, Splatoon 2, Splatoon 2 expansion. Like we got all the art books and took all the inspiration from all those art books and pulled photos and things to make these props. And it was really cool to be able to do that. It's exciting that we're going to get to do that for Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, and pull in those inspirations. We'll probably pull in some Breath of the Wild stuff just because they're influenced, and they're based off each other. But that's kind of the next big thing, and it's just really fun to be able to have. I like that the themes are now video game themed and like things that I really love, like
Yeah,
Nintendo and stuff. Because now, like, oh, we're getting art books and we can do this because it's for party reasons. Cool, let's do it.
yeah. It gives you
Like
excuse to
we
buy that
didn't
stuff.
end up having the money, but we were thinking about getting the Splatoon soundtrack albums like that are online.
Mm,
But we just didn't have getting around to that with all the other stuff we had. It was one of the things that ended up on the cutting room floor. But
yeah,
yeah, just we love those productions. It's really fun.
for sure. Cool. Anything else or
Good question. Uh, Gosh, I haven't had time to play Super Mario Wonder. I haven't had time to play um anything else really. Uh, Barely even Pokemon Go. So, with the parties and stuff, like it's been a really busy week,
just
but
a
I think
busy
that's everything.
season? I get it.
Yep.
I get it for sure. Well, thanks for sharing all that stuff, Ryan. We won't waste our listeners' time anymore. We're going to get into the topic. Since speaking of, I guess you could something we're looking forward to, something that is on the horizon is Super Mario RPG, the remake. And Brian and I felt like it was appropriate. We've never talked about it before. It's time for us to reach back to the past, to the 90s, and talk about this game before it gets remade. So today's going to be all about Super Mario RPG. All right. Well, Ryan, Super Mario RPG was a classic game that came to the Super Nintendo, and what I think it was about back in we said late 90s. It was released in 1996. Originally in Japan on March 9th, 1996, and then on May 13th in North America, 1996. I guess maybe starting off with this game, this was definitely a different approach for Nintendo.
Oh yeah,
For Mario.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. Definitely different, and definitely Nintendo really gave some artistic freedom and some liberties to Square at the time, SquareSoft, to do this thing and make it a Final Fantasy game, but Mario. Like,
Right.
it was the first time that Nintendo let someone handle a game like that to this quality. I can't tell you if like the CDI or that stuff where it was mishandled was ever good. Like Mario's missing, or I don't know if those were even considered
No.
like
This was
by
it
Nintendo
was
standards. But
it was a big deal because like what you said, like Nintendo, I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like this is one of the first times Nintendo was like really trusting another company with their IP like this. Most of the time, Nintendo's handheld, like it's in house. They do all the Mario stuff, and Square, just like they are today, has always been a massive staple, especially in the Japanese market for their RPG games.
Mhm.
And this point, I would say this is probably the last hurrah they have um, before we had an era where Square pretty much had nothing to do with Nintendo. They
Mhm.
had, remember they had their falling out, I'd say, right at the N64, the birth of the
Yeah,
N64.
they wanted to do disc format because they could do so much more with that, and they didn't want to do cartridge. And so like they're like, well, we can't really work with this cartridge media. So yeah.
Yeah. And the previous president at that time, was kind of a stubborn guy. So, he pretty much said, "See you later."
Mhm.
Um, so then for a good while there, we had no Final Fantasy, nothing Square, until, fast forward to today. Now it's like they're best friends again. And that's all water under the bridge, thankfully. Hence why
Mhm.
we're getting this remake, actually. But yeah, this was a big deal. This was a big deal for partnering with such another strong company and trusting them with the Mario brand and image. They were bringing 3D aspects to a system that's mostly known for its 2D graphics.
Mhm.
This was the Super Nintendo guys. This is like the tail. I'd say the middle, 93, 64 didn't come out to like 96. So, um, uh, oh yeah, this is not 93. This is 1996. This is the
Yeah, it
tail
was.
end.
Nintendo is notorious for releasing a really big RPG at the end of the life of, you know, it's really notorious for, introducing a big game, or big story, a big experience at the end of a console's life.
Yeah.
Um, it's just been a thing. Like the end of 64 era, we got like Paper Mario towards the end
Yes.
there.
That's
And,
exactly what
and
I was
so
gonna say.
like, I want to say that, was it Xenoblade Chronicles that did that for Wii thing? Like there's some other games like where they just at the end of the era, like they release this really cool game on the old system. And it's kind of the hey, we put all of our resources and dev into making this game for this system. And yeah, there's a new system out, but we're still going to release this on that system so that,
Mm.
and it's like it may not get recognized as a great game because everybody's already jumping on the new thing. It's like, why would I buy this old game for this old system? And,
Right.
and I think Nintendo's got a little better with that management over the years, and realizing that people do get the newest and latest. And even then, they took it to like dual releasing on a couple of systems with Zelda games,
Yeah,
complete
well,
version on
yeah,
both systems. So
definitely dual releasing. They
they've
did it
gotten
with
better
Breath
about
of the
that,
Wild.
but the
But
reason that
other
Super Mario
consoles.
RPG was cult classic, I would say, is it's RPG, but also like it came out at a time when N64 was a hot thing, So
N64 was, yeah, this was the, and it was full 3D gaming, right? This is
yeah,
kind of a mixture of like 2D
yeah,
with 3D elements. What we had already
mhm,
been kind of getting with Donkey Kong Countries
yeah,
and Mario World 2, Yoshi's Islands. But this game, let's dissect it a little bit. Well, first off, what are your original memories with this game, Ryan?
yeah.
Nostalgia wise.
So my grandpa took me to the local buy sell and trade store, um, and told me I could pick out a game. And I saw there's this Mario game called Super Mario RPG, and I was really excited to get it. I got it. I took it home, or took it to his house, popped it in, started playing it. Um, and I don't think I was at the point where I was reading, or at least not reading much.
Yeah, which would make it hard hard to play.
And I went up to the castle and fought the sword there because you could just do that right from the beginning. Or like you could try that. And I'd get so frustrated because I couldn't beat him. Like I didn't understand RPG elements or anything. This is my first RPG, hands down. Like, so I didn't understand how that all worked and that I had to go another place and do other things when it literally presented me with something I could go and do, and I couldn't do that thing. And I got really frustrated. So like within a couple of hours, I'm like, Grandpa, I don't like this game. And I asked him to take me back to the store and see if we could trade it. And the buy sell and trade place was being a butt, so they wouldn't let us return it. So basically, we had to trade it in, and he spent more money out of pocket to get me a different game. And I can't tell you what that game was, but it was just like I had it, for a very short time, and I was not ready for it as a kid.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, that with what you say, because that definitely correlates with my only nostalgia for this game from my childhood. The only nostalgia I ever had for this game was after church one day I went
You
with
know,
you to Grandpa Ben's house and you put this game in for me and
mm.
this was I'd never even heard of it and we put it in and I just knew it was Mario.
So you were there. Cool.
I don't know if I was not there during this purchasing time, but I definitely was there for this small time frame that you had the game. And I
Yeah.
remember like not knowing what to do. It was, it wasn't a platformer, it wasn't from point A to point B. You're walking. I remember walking through like the wilderness and it just felt weird. I didn't understand the battle. I never played an RPG at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. That was kind of our first experience in foray into like an RPG and concept, I think.
I'm 5 years old, as a matter
So
of fact. My son's
I was 8 then, so I definitely was reading. I just didn't understand the mechanics, I think was the problem, and I didn't understand what they wanted me to do.
Yeah, I was Jack's age, my son. Jack's 4. He's going to be 5 in a couple weeks. So, um, right around the same age that
8 or
he
9.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not able at all to read. So, but I remember being confused because there's this new bad guy and it's not Bowser and like who's
Yeah.
this guy? He kicks Bowser out of the castle. It felt very foreign and weird to me.
Actually, I think my memories of those reactions and that shock, what came from you, I think I kind of internalized them, forgetting that you were there with me at the time. So that's really cool to like fill in some of the blanks in my memory that I had just like forgotten about.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember someone commenting about how like someone stronger than Bowser, and because like the game starts out with you, facing off against. It's like the end of a Mario game
Right.
where you're facing Bowser. It's weird that it starts with at the end um,
Yeah.
of one adventure, but
And then the sword comes crashing down, which I don't even know if I don't really know the origins to him. But I mean, I got a little bit of the plot here pulled up. For the record, I have since then, thanks to our good
Exor.
buddy Kyle Martin, he challenged me to play the game I'd say back. It was right before the Switch had come out. We didn't. It
Hmm.
was this era where like there was really nothing to play, so we were
Hmm.
just challenging me to go back and like play backlog stuff because I had the game. So I did end up beating it on like the Wii Virtual Console through my Wii U
Hmm.
while waiting for the Switch to come out. So I have beaten the whole thing. It's been a good handful of years now. So I am looking forward to getting the remake and playing it
Same.
again. I think it'll be fun, and just to see it updated.
Yeah.
But let's see. Just one day, Mario sets out once again to rescue Princess Toadstool from Bowser at his castle, like we talked about during their battle. A giant living sword named Exor falls from the sky, breaks through the Star Road, a pathway that helps grant people's wishes, and crashes into Bowser's castle, sending Mario, Princess Toadstool, and Bowser flying in different directions, as well as scattering the seven star fragments. Mario lands back at his pad and meets up with Toad, who tells him he has to rescue Toadstool. Mario returns to Bowser's castle, but Exor destroys the bridge, preventing him from entering. Which I remember doing that. I remember like why can't I go over there? You know, you just can look off into the distance, and then you just have to go a different way. Mario makes his way from the Mushroom Kingdom, where Mario encounters a tadpole named Mallow. And then so yeah, this game introduced some new characters like Mallow and the infamous Geno gets introduced into this game later on as well too. And then Bowser's actually on your side, and you get to use him in your party, which was again cool. At this time, outside of the first Mario Kart, there was no playing as Bowser, you know, especially in an
Yeah.
adventure game. So having Bowser on your team, I think this is might be one of the first games to really give him a personality,
Hmm.
because of the dialogue. This game was really known for its humor. A lot of people comment about how funny it actually is when you
Hmm.
when you can read through the dialogue, and I'll be excited to go back through it. Probably around Christmas time for me when I get that's probably when I'll get it, and just re-enjoy this funny adventure. Um, but I mean, the reception for the game was, I mean, it was well received. It got reviewed very well, like 9 out of 10s, A's, 89% rankings, 9.5 out of 10 by IGN back then, Nintendo, like 10 out of 10. Like, it's a good game. It's left a legacy of what RPGs can do for Nintendo. I mean, because like we talked about after the falling out of Square and Nintendo, we get the I guess the rebirth. Technically, it should have been the sequel to Mario RPG, which was birthed into something entirely new and unique. Which is when Nintendo really started to like go down that road of uniqueness, and they created Paper Mario, which is same elements, but everything was made out of paper, and it was a really cool concept, right?
Hmm.
A paper 3D world. And you have the whole legacy, which then went down to Mario Thousand Year Door, which we're getting a remake of, and then we went to the Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga games. So they always kind of birthed their own directions. It all came from this starting point. Um, we can highlight the music. The music in this game, huge. A lot of people love it. Very unique. Do you recall any of the music back to yourself that maybe like, oh, really sticks out to you? Or um, I remember that home castle or like that hometown theme song was really catchy and fun to listen to and repeat. But I mean, this is like full on Final Fantasy composers composing Mario music into their own,
Yeah.
putting their own spin on it.
Yeah. I don't think I played this game with the volume off, but I don't remember music in this game. Like, and I don't remember listening to the soundtrack to this game either. So, like, it's again, I'm gonna be going into this with a fresh experience playing this remastered version. And I hear that in the remastered version, you can switch between like new soundtrack, but then like the classic soundtrack as well, like on the fly, which is really cool. Like, I think I'm gonna enjoy that to experience both of those. Yeah. Um, Again, like this game is, I know I've played through it a couple times, but for whatever reason, like things didn't stick in my brain. I don't know if I was just like trying to get through it really quickly because it was something on the list of things I needed to do, or and I didn't really like commit it to memory. Or but a lot of stuff didn't stick in my memory, so it could be that it's something that I did notice back then. It never does continue with me. I think the only thing that really stuck out to me is I remember there was these Power Ranger guys, and I thought that was kind of cool. That there was like,
Yeah.
um, but so I've played through the game a couple times, and I've only done the secret boss once.
I don't
Um,
think I ever did the secret boss. I didn't care that much, but
and I'm pretty sure I did that on the
grinding.
Wii U, or maybe it was Wii, just to make sure that I said I had done it before. So
It's the soundtrack was composed by Yoko Shimomura,
yeah,
taking original
legend.
music, yes, but she credits this game to being the turning point for her career.
Yeah,
That this was like what put her on the map. Her taking arrangements from Koji Kondo, and from Final Fantasy, and then mixing them together.
yeah,
Um, really just kind of catapulted her. She said that I guess this was actually released on 2 discs back in the day, and then in 1995.
man, can't imagine having that. Like being able to get that. That'd be so
One
cool.
of the few times Nintendo doesn't do that a lot, but they
Yeah,
do it here and there for some reason. But in this game, I guess it came with a Nintendo SA1 chip, so like it was a different. It was a more powerful chip than what all the previous SNES games were able to use
yeah,
for their games. So it had better processing power, it had higher clock speeds, faster access to random access memory. It just allowed for so much more compression and data to be stored in.
hmm
To make a lot bigger of a game, which I think was needed. This was not just a
yeah,
platformer. This is a grand story. RPGs, if you've played RPGs, they're not, most of the time, they're not this little 8 hour adventure. They are a deep, long process adventure that takes you through highs and lows of all
yeah.
kinds. And I think that was appropriate to put a more powerful musical chip in here to be able to do even more with it because there's so much more to do.
And it was a major turning point. Like so, this was the fusion of top graphics Nintendo with top graphics Square Enix, and this was the diverging point. So like we got this product Super Mario RPG, and at its time, like this is right at the point where you could see that Square was putting in all of their effort to put up this great graphic thing, this high performance thing, and making the best that they could. And as Nintendo got older, it it decided to go a different direction and not go with the most powerful, most expensive, the newest thing with graphics and things or equipment. And Square Enix was like, well, we want to keep growing you know, our cutscenes and what we can do out of a game and make it like put it on multiple discs and things. And they could not do that with cartridges effectively or cost effectively. Anything like release a game with 2 cartridges. How does that work? No, it's discs is where they wanted to go because it was so much easier to store data that they needed for these huge games that they were making. And so it is a treasure to be able to have this collaboration with Nintendo and Square Enix together, putting this product out that was kind of the I guess the ultimate example of what the console could do at the time in the best with the best you know with the best games, graphics, everything. It is such a black sheep of a game for what it was. Yes, Super Nintendo era was all about RPGs, but this was something that was Nintendo's name on it. It was the greatest example of a video game at that time. This is before PlayStation became big and Square Enix joined over there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's also the miss with the whole Sony place or the Nintendo PlayStation and what have
Oh
you
yeah,
with that. So like a lot of those things were, it was like they made some business decisions back then that shaped them into the Nintendo we know today,
yeah.
for better or for worse. But this was something that was just before all these things started happening, and it was magic.
It was magic, and I mean, it sold 1.47 million copies in Japan that year in 1996, making it the third highest selling game in all of Japan, which is saying something because the 64 would have been released that year,
Mhm.
still. And then its sales in the United States surpassed Nintendo's expectations. It was in America, because at the time this stuff didn't sell very well in America at all.
Mhm.
Sold shipped over 300,000 copies to retailers. Nintendo estimated a sell through of more than 200,000 units within 1 month on shelves, and it was like for 14 weeks straight the number one most rented game in the
Yeah,
United States, and became
yeah.
the sixth best selling game in 1996 in the U.S. But yeah, it was the last release that Square would ever do for Nintendo, at least the Super Nintendo, and Nintendo in general for quite some time.
And
Um,
what we did get eventually, well, I want to say there was probably some handheld or something in between there, but like the next console was Crystal Chronicles. So
yeah, yeah. At least big stuff. You're right. I mean, I'm sure there might have been. You'll see a lot of companies be able to do even a little bit of handheld things. I mean, heck, even
Tactics
Microsoft
advanced and things, yeah. But
after Microsoft bought Rare still released actually a handful of Game Boy games for Nintendo,
mhm,
being under the Microsoft umbrella way back when. But yeah, but the big dog consoles was just a no go for this type of stuff.
yeah.
But I mean, overall, like the game is fun. It's got a great characteristics. It's a game that I mean, it has Samus in the game. I mean, Ryan, you should know this. It's got your girl in it.
Hmm.
It's. I hope she's in the remake. I don't know if that's been leaked or not. I hope that like they didn't take her out and that she's still there. That'd be cool. Um, but I'm looking forward to playing it again. It's been a few years since I've revisited this game. I mean, no, it's been more than a few years. That would have been back in like 2017. Goodness gracious, this is a long time ago. 2016. That's almost like 8 years ago at this point.
Oh
Wow.
gosh. Hmm.
Yeah, that I in my brain when we planned this episode, I felt like it was closer in my brain. That doesn't seem so real. That's time is
Mhm.
just it goes by so fast the older we get. That's
Yeah.
insane. Um, but it's a fun game. I'm looking forward to diving back into it and replaying it and fighting Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong's in the game. Did you
Hmm.
know that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's not really in the game, but it
I
is a
mean,
model that is exactly him with a
I don't remember fighting him, but I remember he had like the chains or spikes or whatever it
yeah,
was.
he's got shackles around his arms or his wrists and his neck, I think. And it's I think the character is just called a Kong, but it has nothing to do with Donkey Kong. But
Yeah.
they just took like the Donkey Kong sprite from Donkey Kong Country and
Yeah.
put chains around him, and that's like he's a villain of the game, a regular villain.
I don't I don't recall much about that. Um, it's weird going back and looking at old images and seeing the weird sprite work that they did, where it was like that tilted angle, and seeing the characters. So like looking at past bosses and things like that and playing it, it was just a very different look from what I was used to. Again, I never really got into 2D RPGs really,
Yeah.
and I'm only recently starting to pick up on that and get into those, and kind of revisiting those ones. And this is a good time to go back to Mario RPG, and with the new one coming out. I don't know. I don't remember exactly when um, this became a thing for me, but perhaps maybe Mario RPG was the reason that I didn't want to do 2D RPGs, and I figured I'd give them a chance later once it was 3D with Final Fantasy
Hmm.
8,
Hmm. Hmm.
which Final Fantasy 8 actually brought in an element to RPGs that was introduced here in Super Mario RPG, which was the time button press mechanics.
Yes, this
Um,
is great.
that was really cool to see, and that's something that like even now going forward, it's such a staple that like any RPG I play, like as soon as the attack hits, like I will hit a button to do that.
Uh-huh. Yep,
I
same.
think the only one that I don't do that to is, well, maybe I started picking it up there too, but like Pokemon is probably the only one that I don't do that with,
Mm,
because I think the attack animations aren't always clear when they hit or they hit multiple times and stuff. So,
right, right.
but I got that. I did that more with the Pokeball catching than I did the actual
Yeah,
attacks.
yep, same.
But the time button presses was like it's just ingrained in RPG players, minds, and that's kind of what we saw in Super Mario RPG. Like so many tropes and things that were established in that carried the genre forward and were introduced in the genre. It's really cool to see, Nintendo being the birthing place of these things. And I did want to talk a little bit about the the kind of character cameos that show up and things like that. Some familiar faces. For me, the bosses weren't that familiar. Um, and I know that everybody raves about the new characters like Mallow and Gino, especially. Everybody wanted Gino for Smash.
Yeah,
We got him in me form at least. But
exactly.
we got to see some
Correct.
familiar characters like Birdo and Yoshi, Fat Yoshi. It was a fun one. Um, yeah, I guess, was there any characters that you were really excited to see in this game? I know Bowser was your big one, like, and be able to see the personality there. I know, like, missing pretty obviously was Luigi, and apparently he was planned for the game, but was ultimately scrapped. So what kind of characters were you kind of excited to see show up in this Mario game?
Um, really, it wasn't like I was expecting anything new, or I guess it is what new that we did get. Like it was this mystery of like to this point, the Mario formula had pretty much been the same kind of characters. You got the Koopa Troopers, you got the Koopalings, you got Koopas, you got Goombas. And I mean, just right from the beginning, yes, there's some Goombas, but we start seeing characters that we had never even seen in a Mario game that I didn't know could exist in a Mario game. Right away from the main boss, this giant sword crashing, like I don't even know if the game explains where he comes from, but like I was so mesmerized. It's in a weird way how like Bowser, we always said Bowser is he's known as the bad guy. He's the main big baddie for all
Mhm.
of Mario, right? And then someone else comes in and steps on Bowser's turf and kicks Bowser out of his own castle. In a way, rubbed me the wrong way. Even though Bowser's
Yeah.
the bad guy, it's like, hey, wait. It's kind of like you can pick on your sibling, your sister, you can make fun of her or whatever, but that person cannot, and
Mhm.
then it bothers you if they do it. And in a way, I kind of felt that with like some new villain coming in and kicking Bowser to the curve, and him and his whole new set of Goonies coming in to take over. So it wasn't that I was expecting any characters per se. I was just curious about, okay, who is this new world of bad guys that are here, and how do we take them out?
Mhm.
And the game is full of that. I mean, he has his own like Iron Army, military people, and
Mhm.
you fight them all. You fight them all, and they're all challenging. They certainly are. So I wouldn't, yeah. And then it was cool that not only did these new villains come up and show up, but we got new allies ourselves,
Yeah.
like Mallow and Gino coming in to help
I
beat these guys.
I like, when I like these new characters that they have. Like, I know everybody was really obsessed with Gino, and Mallow was pretty cool as for what he's assisted with Elemental and things like that. And they were kind of really the people that the new characters were kind of the magic, bringing magic into the Mario universe in a lot of ways. But also, like, I think a character more, um, I guess, wrapped up in legal tape or like proprietary, like, where does it stand? Like, who owns Boshi? It's Yoshi, but it's a blue Yoshi, and it's a special character, like, has a personality and everything. And like, it's both Nintendo, like, but it's also a variant that's exclusively Square, and we've never seen that character again. Like, there's things like that. It's just like, what? There's nothing like that, and are we ever going to see that character again? They're ready to come out. Like, everybody's talking about bringing Gino to Nintendo stuff and Smash, but it's like, what about these other ones that are like kind of both?
Right.
And what happens to those? And the fact that Nintendo is able to publish this game, this remaster coming up, with the blessing of Square Enix is great. Um, it's hard to say who has the rights to what characters, and like, I would be very sad if they excluded Culex, the special secret boss in Super Mario RPG, just because it wasn't something Nintendo owned. Like, I would have hated to have this game that didn't have Gino and Mallow and just had generic characters that Nintendo made up to as placeholders. That would have been really sad. So I'm glad that things are falling into place to where everything seems to be good there. I'd like to see Nintendo, get blessed to use these characters again elsewhere outside the RPG. Perhaps, they're gauging to see how well the sequel is going to go. Maybe this is something that encourages Square Enix to get back with Nintendo again and make a dedicated RPG, Mario RPG or something. Like, realize, oh, hey, this could be a really big thing. I know they're currently putting all their resources into the latest Final Fantasies, probably working on 17 and Final Fantasy 7 2 or 7 remake, all the different ones like point 3, point 4, whatever, however they do the naming conventions on those, But it would be cool to see these sales numbers from Super Mario RPG Remastered kind of be like, oh, hey, Sony over here, like, I see you. Let's do something, I'm hoping that kind of brings them back and tempts them back if they see this thing do really well and see that there is a market on Nintendo still to maybe even get a sequel or something that is not just a kiddie game or a weird game like Crystal Chronicles. Like, we get something dedicated on Nintendo that is cream of the crop, cutting edge, and on the newest whatever Switch successor is. It would be really cool to see that. Like, this is a big time and looks very promising. And is this a case? Like, we don't know when the new system is going to be announced or when it comes out, but this might be a case where it's like Super Mario RPG was on the Super Nintendo before 64 came around. But I'm hoping Nintendo is able to do the right things to be able to get Square Enix to stick with them and give a dedicated game to them that's not just kind of a spin-off, and is actually worth their development resources. It'd be kind of cool if this becomes that catalyst to, attract them over into Nintendo's playing field again.
Right. Well, and it doesn't even have to necessarily be Mario. I'd love to see what Square can do with something like Zelda. What if we got like an RPG Zelda? I mean, the fact that we've never had even an attempt at an RPG Legend of Zelda game is kind of mind blowing to me, because the whole setup is kind of like your stereotypical Final Fantasy, wizard, someone with a sword type of thing.
I think it would be action RPG for sure. It wouldn't be like the turn based necessarily.
Or a Donkey Kong. I mean, I would do anything. Just any one of them, I think would be fun. Star Fox. Get one of those series that they are struggling with to really figure out how to get that name brand like Star Fox.
I would like to see Star Fox, but in a more like Dinosaur Planet style. Like less. I mean, you can do the flying and stuff. That'll be different mechanics, but
sure.
But have I don't want to be turn based like space combat, but have like on the ground turn based combat or on the ground action RPG combat.
Yes.
Things like that would be pretty cool. Like, look at like say Nier Automata or however you pronounce that. Like something like that, but for Star Fox, with the Square Enix backing, would be pretty cool. Or, and I don't want to see like a Metroid Square Enix crossover. I just, they could do it. I don't think that that's something that I'd really want, even being a big Metroid fan that I am. Nor do I want to see Pikmin and Square Enix. Like, I don't see those series doing that.
It certainly has to be the right kind of franchise.
Don't give us Kirby, please. Although, I will say, Kirby's final bosses and weird storylines would fit well with Square Enix. I will give them that.
I could give you that for sure, too. A couple of last few things. I know we've mentioned Samus, but like this game did have it had a lot of Easter eggs in it. I guess I forgot Link is, you can find Link sleeping in Rosetown after
dreaming about that windfish.
Yeah, you're right. And if you talk to him, Link doesn't say anything. I think like just your standard like clip that would play from like completing a puzzle, and let me see what it said it up here. Yeah, after you solve a puzzle in Zelda, that would play if you talk to him. Samus does actually talk to you. Samus will appear in the end of the game. If you try to talk to her, she says, the baby. I'm just kidding. She says how she's resting up for her upcoming battle against Mother Brain. So I guess Super had already happened at this point. So little did she know she wasn't going to be on the 64, so she was going to be sleeping for quite a while. And then Luigi, he appears in the parade at the end of the game, and there's like a wish that can be found by him. on Star Hill where like people can make wishes, and one says it says I want to be a great plumber like my brother, suggesting that it was Luigi. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of little fun Easter eggs in here. Um, they, it's not just Mario, and I think that I like that. I like that there's character. I like that they got a little bit of sprinkled in a bunch of Nintendo stuff in there of different franchises. I even think that I saw that there's like an R wing. Uh, yeah, there's a barrel volcano as models of Captain Falcon's like spacecraft. There's an R wing series, like all these little things just kind of just sprinkled in throughout the game.
Yeah.
Just hidden. Yeah, the Donkey Kong lookalikes. Um, yeah, it's cool. They put a lot of Nintendo in there with Final Fantasy mixtures into it. It definitely was a magical game to be created for that time. Honestly, something that if they could make something like this new today, it would be. I mean, I guess not counting the remake, like something fresh, that would be cool. And Square did the whole Kingdom Hearts thing, right?
Hmm.
Who's to say Square couldn't make a game that's just like Kingdom Hearts, but you're going through all of the Nintendo worlds? You know what I'm saying?
You
It's
know,
not it's not Goofy and Mickey and Toy Story or whatever, but they're going through the different realms of different Nintendo characters, and there's some like overall story that's connecting all of these different franchises together. That would be awesome, to be honest. And
yeah. I mean, what would it look like if Square Enix helped out with an action RPG that was, Smash Brothers?
oh
Like,
yeah,
how crazy would that be? What if that's the new Smash Brothers like universe direction? Is it's an action RPG? Each, Nintendo character has different like attacks and different things like that, and it would be like it wouldn't. I don't know. I don't want it to be just another like Hyrule Warriors or something, but like Nintendo Warriors. I don't want to see that. I want to see what Square Enix does with Nintendo's
yeah,
characters in
yeah.
a Smash Brothers universe. Like, what would that look like? And that would be so awesome. Like action RPG. Like, I want everything old. Or I want Square Enix to do turn-based RPGs. But if they were to handle Nintendo IPs or like Smash Brothers or something, like a fighting game or anything like that, like I would want to see action RPG. Like, yeah, I love my turn-based, but like being able to experience different like just third party hack and slash or what have you with the Square Enix story and graphics, like my goodness, I think my face and would melt like playing that game.
Right.
And that would be beyond my wildest dreams. I think, and I don't see that working for turn-based RPG. I wouldn't want a Smash Brothers turn-based RPG. Too slow, but I think it would work well for the Smash Brothers series, which is every Nintendo character. So I wish that we would see some motion towards a big partnership other than ports with your Square Enix, but I'm
I
glad that we
mean,
are getting representation across these consoles.
I think with the success of the Switch, if things continue to trend that way as soon as we get onto, codename Super Switch, I think we will see more and more of this stuff. I really do. But well, that's all I've got. I can think of out of this halfly sick brain, still recovering from my sickness yesterday on Mario RPG. Do you have any final thoughts? And if not, Ryan, where can people find us?
Yeah, just looking forward to the future of Mario RPG, and hopefully the partnership with Nintendo and Square Enix continues to flourish.
Yes.
I know that they're very different markets now, like what their big AAA titles are versus what they put on Nintendo. But I'd like to see them do something pretty epic in the future. Hopefully that becomes a thing. But yeah, I'm just really happy that we're able to talk about this game now and are about to see what a remastered version would be that everybody dreamed of having, and we're finally getting that. It's really really cool that we're getting a lot of things that we never dreamed would be remade in our time or ever, perhaps even lost to time in some ways. It's really cool that we have that, and yeah, it's a good time, especially for nostalgia. Either making it with your kids, or re-experiencing it, or having it for the first time just as an adult. It's really cool.
Amen.
As far as finding the show, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, Pandora Podcasts. Also have some limited videos up on YouTube. I think some of our original episodes might be on there if you can't find them in the RSS feed. So you can find us on Facebook at Nintendo NOS, on TikTok at Nintendo_NOS, on X Twitter at Nintendo_NOS, Instagram, Nintendo NOSIN. You can shoot us an email at Gmail, Nintendonostalgiain at gmail.com. You can also give us a call on the Nostalgia Hotline. Share your love, memories, and thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. The number is 317-969-5690. Guys, that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening on our third episode in a row since we've come back. We hope you have a great rest of your week, and we will catch you next week. Later, Preston.
See ya.